Hi Buttercup, welcome back to my channel. Today's book review is Under the Whispering Door by T.J Klune. I picked this up actually at the airport long time ago because I was at an airport and I didn't have a book, and that is a tragedy. I'm just letting you know. Me without a book traveling, unacceptable. So I picked up this book. I wanted to try TJ out because I heard that this book and his other books are really good, but I need to figure out by myself, you know, because sometimes, no, not sometimes, a lot of the time, I don't agree with people and their book review assessments, but that's totally okay because that's art, you know. Art is subjective, so I do take it with a grain of salt whenever someone says someone is fantastic or like utterly amazing, perfect in every way, which I was hearing a lot with this book in particular, but also just in general with TJ's writing. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to look into that because that is, that's a lot. I really did enjoy this novel. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Rounded up 4.5, which I usually do. So the main character is a lawyer, and he really doesn't have a life outside of his job, and he's not nice. So he got somewhat recently divorced, and he's, you know, still getting over that, and he's all alone. He doesn't have any kids, so he just does work. That's all he does. And then he has a heart attack and it goes really fast. And then we meet reapers, which are people. They're humans, but they can see ghosts, so they help them to an area where they can settle in and understand that they're dead and try to accept that they're dead, and then hopefully move on. So in this particular case, Wallace, the main character who's dead, is taken to Hugo's house, which is really cute right there on the book cover right there. And they try to work out why Wallace is holding on and does not want to pass over into not really heaven, not hell, but it's an afterlife. It's where you find peace. But everything that you know, even as a ghost, is going to disappear. So I thought it was an extremely well written novel. It adds funny parts and funny characters into a very serious topic, and I don't think it would have worked if there was not something uplifting, because this is very heavy. I would say if you have lost someone, it could definitely help, or it can possibly make things worse, because this is really about the question of death and how you figure out how you're going to accept that, basically. A lot of people have done that for religion, and I think it was a little more difficult for me because as an atheist, I don't have that, in a way, crutch. It's one life to live and that is it. And I have really struggled with that even when I wasn't an atheist and I had religion in my life, but I became an atheist in 2016. I was still having existential crises all the damn time when I was a kid. And my grandparents really tried to comfort me, saying that there's something on the other side. I just didn't believe them, honestly. And it's really hard to come to terms with, and I've mentioned this before a couple times, but I'm gonna say it again just because you might be new watching. Joseph Campbell has a fantastic and very important, I would say, and fascinating quote. I'm gonna paraphrase it though, but it is, human beings are the only animals that we know of on earth that understand that we're going to die. We have that consciousness that other animals do not, and it's both a blessing and a curse. And for all of human life, individually and as a group of human beings, we are trying to figure out how to handle the ability to understand that no matter what you do, you're going to die, and everyone else is going to die. There's no such thing as immortality. Born, you live, then you die. That's how it goes. And I read that quite a few years ago when I was struggling. I had a 6-month struggle in 2016 because I was taking this Roman religion class, and I kept seeing things pop up that were almost the exact same or very similar to other religions, where I had that little 6-month crisis, and I started reading Joseph Campbell because I was told to, and I forget who told me to start reading Joseph Campbell, but he really did help. And I also read The Man's Search for Meaning for Viktor Frankl, and that was a very helpful book as well, because it does discuss that you make meaning in your life. It's just not given to you. And I think that's really important for everyone, but also if you're agnostic or atheist. It is your life to live, and you need to go out and make it happen. So going into this, I knew that it would probably be a bit hard for me because I struggle with death. I love life. I don't know if people, I think my fiance knows how much I love life. I understand that we're all gonna die, that's gonna happen, but I love life so much I want to keep hold of it. And it's a little different for Wallace because he is just going with the motions, and all he's doing is working, and work is the only thing that matters, and climbing up that ladder of being the best lawyer ever. And then he realizes, shit, I didn't live my life. All I did was work, and all I did was anger people, and I couldn't even make my relationship work with my wife because I was an asshole. And all I did was work. I was mean, I was nasty, I was a workaholic, and I just wasted my life. And now I'm dead. Great. And that's hard. But I think that's important to write in a story, because for the people that might be happening to them, it's important to showcase in a novel. Introspection is really hard. I still struggle with it, though I have been told that I do it a little too much and that I make myself anxious. You know, that's always been a thing, and it was a struggle for my grandparents and my mom. Kind of still is, but I have it more together than, say, like a 6-year-old trying to figure out the meaning of life and the answers not being good enough, especially with death and why we die. And I think it is a really important book that also has a little brevity in there, a little lightness, and like I said, I don't think it would have worked as like a low fantasy. It's like low fantasy, contemporary fantasy, but low fantasy enough. I would say like a subgenre of cozy, because Hugo runs a tea and pastry shop, and so there's a lot of scenes where they're, you know, doing the tea and the pastry, and they don't go outside of the tea and pastry shop. So it's the tea and pastry shop on this bottom, and then if you go up to like the 4th floor, pretty many floors up, that is where the whispering door is, where that is your afterlife, but you have to choose to pass over. And Wallace is like, no. And that's basically all the book. There was one character that comes in about halfway who dies, and he is a little shit, and I can't stand him, and that's where there was I understand the point of that. Just didn't like him, and so that was a little bit of a bummer. So, but I'm not dinging the book and points for that, because there was a point for that particular character. and to move forward with the story. But oh my god, if you read the book and you know what I'm talking about, please, did you feel that character, the violent one, the very angry one, was important or not? I think it's important, but I want to know your thoughts if you read the book. I also really enjoyed the ending. So not everyone is dead anyway. The Reapers are not dead, but there are a few people in this house, including a cute little dog, that are dead. And there is a question about, for this particular thing, when are you satisfied enough with your life as a dead person to then pass over? And you, like, it's okay to be scared, but are you ready to end that life and then start? It's not really a life, it's just like I would say a settlement into the afterlife. And that is scary. And I think that's something that we need to talk about more. And I like that this one doesn't really touch on any religion. It's just that the Reapers are humans and they can see ghosts. So there's some physical thing going on, but there is no God or any prophets or anything like that. Though there are higher beings that maybe one could say that it is a god, but they kind of work like, how would I explain it to someone? I understand, as growing up neo-pagan, there was a bunch of gods, goddesses, other beings, higher beings. So they would be like a higher being, as in like an entity that has been around as energy but not physical, though they're in another dimension, and they're really freaking old. And so they have way more knowledge than anyone else, and that's why they're higher beings. Hopefully that made sense. I am interested in like that thought process for TJ, because like, was he into metaphysical stuff or New Age, Neo-Pagan, Wiccan, what, or was that just not it? Because I understood it in that way. I think he wrote it that way. It's really interesting how you can interpret books and you see books through a different lens every time you read a book or reread a book, or what different experiences then shape the book. Because he could be like, I don't know what you're talking about. I just wrote this in XYZ right way. But it does say that there aren't any gods or prophets or anything like that. So the religions that we know of right now are just pushed aside, like that's not real. So that's why I'm coming up with like the other beings, higher beings concept of this one particular character that is in charge of everything. But there are multiple, I think, is it called manager? Something like, it's kind of like a play on words, like a manager. But yeah, the manager, I'm just gonna go with that because I can't remember the term. In charge of everything, and he pops up now and then, and I think that was intriguing as well, because it's not God. It is someone that is, I'm gonna go with, higher being, and he doesn't rule the world or anything like that of what you would think of a religious deity, but he does help it along. And he can change stuff if he really wants to, but he, like, 9 times out of 10 will not, because humans have free will. So yes, I do definitely recommend this novel. It can be healing, or it can be upsetting if you have lost someone recently, or if you're grappling with death. Whether you're atheist or religious or not, I think. I always grapple with death. So this was not anything new for me. I cried. I did. Very moving. There were quite a few tears, but I think that's fantastic. And that is how art should move you. Even if it's low fantasy, cozy, with a lot of funny parts, I don't think that makes it less artsy. I know other people will say that it has to be really serious to be art. I don't think that is a good argument, so I'm going to call this book a real work of art, specifically touching on death and life and how to handle those things as human beings. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great reading day or writing day or any day that you prefer. See you in the next one. Bye.